Created my own little algorithms to do one thing or another, like disease states, a mortality algorithm, and
I think you will have a whole levels of robotics, the humanoid robots or non-humanoid robots, whatever the case is.
But the one that I really gravitated towards was Alteryx, low code, no code, business intelligence stuff, data science, machine learning, things like that.
Audio, the text, and then everything's big metaverse bug. Everybody knows the metaverse.
Another week of AI.
I'm a believer.
Absolutely.
I think if anybody knows who Andrew Ng is, they can definitely appreciate his ability to formalize the conversation in a way that everybody can understand it, right? But without losing that standard of what it is that you need in order to address the AI topics. Because one of the things that we know in the human nature is that when you are specializing on anything, you're going to specialize and you're going to own all the terminologies, right? And it makes it such a difficult conversation between silos of expertise and specializations, right? I could talk to a doctor all day long. I will never go back and talk to them again because I have no idea what they said, right? Like a surgeon that described how their day was, right? I was like, sure, I'm just going to move this way real quick because I have no idea what that was. But it's important that we understand each other, right? We have the ability to say, if you can explain that in the general terminology, layman terms, how does that sound, right? And that is something that I have difficulty with, right? I have difficulty with explaining things to say like, hey, how can I not use that word unsupervised learning so that way somebody can understand what unsupervised learning is? Because if I say reinforcement learning, they'll say, reinforcement and learning. Well, that makes sense, right? And how do I not get confused with unstructured data? Because if I say unstructured data, somebody should be able to say, let's put that content into a context, right? I remember what it means to have not structure in the data. Okay, that means there's images and videos, right? So I guess when you have to really get somebody to be interested, you have to learn how to teach, right? If you want people to communicate with you, you have to be able to say, this is how you communicate with me. Or if I have to learn what it is that you need, I need to learn how to ask you questions. So that way, when you answer it, even if I don't understand it the first time, I have enough emotional intelligence to say, let me take a breather here and let me ask you again how it is that I need to understand what it is that you're trying to say, right? So there's a whole lot of communication skills that we need. And I think that's what I appreciate about Andrew Ng is that he's able to talk through all of this and he doesn't tell you like, oh, now you're going to be intimidated to ask me a question. Like, I think that's the kind of good things that I've learned over time that, when you're talking to data with people, they're not going to understand data, even though they're immersed into it 24 hours a day, right? It's like a swimmer that doesn't understand what water is, right? Data is all around us. We're using data constantly. It's just that we don't have the relevant terminologies to engage with data conversation or at least describe how the data works. So I'm going to say, if we have one task today is to describe how it is that we understand AI, right? Like, what does it mean to have AI or interact with AI or to deal with AI or whatever the case is on your daily basis? So let's start with that, because I think we're going to kind of make sure that everybody who listens to this conversation can relate to what it is that we deal with.
Yeah, I'll start with that, because listening to you, Asif, and then thinking about AI, the phrase that comes to mind with me is safe space. It's a safe space. It's a safe space to have a conversation, because you can start right where you are and you shouldn't be afraid to, try it. You shouldn't think that you're going to break something. So being and knowing that you're in a safe space to even attempt to understand it makes it palpable, right? You can chew it up. And so for me, that's the beginning and the end, a safe space. AI is a safe space. You can start exactly where you are to gain the knowledge just by simply asking a question.
Yeah, Okay, I see what you did there. I see what you did there because you can always say whatever you want to say, but it's not going to break the configuration. That has been one of my biggest fear. I think Bobby will tell you. 10 years ago, when we used to do things, configuration was such a pain to deal with. The one thing you do wrong, you have to bring the whole troubleshooting team to fix your mess, right? So safe space, it resonates very well with me. Yep. Lucky.
Um, it, Dealing and learning and working in data science, I've come to learn that, and it's not so much AI is that we're putting a lot into what AI is or it could be, or this we're putting this kind of this movie context to it's perfect. And what I'd like to really just everyone to understand is AI is only as good as the data that you give it. And in the internet, there's a lot of poisonous data. So sometimes, as you go through learning AI has great models, different things that help you. And there's going to be things that are not absolutely correct. So just the fact that AI is not infallible. It's there's going to be you can't use it to measure up against humanity or how to measure how we do our jobs because it's not necessarily perfect. And I don't know if in the context of using AI to you can use it to learn, you can use it to grow, and it's still not there yet. It's not perfect to where we use it to measure, who we are. So learn from it, use it as a tool. Um, but AI still got a way to grow, a way to go, way to grow. And so, kind of for Freudian slip there, I think that AI is great, but there's a lot that we have to learn, and again, there's a lot that we have to develop. Um, and know that each model, depending on what you use it for, there's going to be different types of AI. AI right now, it's just we see it as this big AI, and it's just something about it. It's going to make us, it's going to pass us up, and it's this weird type of technology. But at the end, there's different parts of AI. There's different components, and you need someone that can speak AI. Just like like the individuals we have here, we want to be able to understand it better, it's not German. But it is something that you do need maybe a concierge to say, what, this is the area that you need to focus in on because maybe you're a musician, you're an artist, you need more generative AI. Where if you're a developer, you're a coder, you need something that's more large language model based that'll feed you the data that you want. Or if you're in the finance and then you're looking for reporting and you need statistical data, you need different models that can view that data in different ways. There's different types of AI. Then there's the medical side of it. Where there's different types of AI that look at our biology. Those are all models that have all been tuned different ways. Without getting into specifics, some of it can get to be the main area that we understand is Chat GPT because it's hot, but there's different parts, and we can all take advantage of AI as long as we have somebody that can kind of guide us like a concierge. And so again, I think AI is great, but again, it's not perfect, and it leaves it up to us to interpret that.
Yeah, I want to add something to you, Lucky, especially when it comes to you parents that are watching right now. And not, I want to tell you, don't be intimidated by it because there's so much information out there. And like Lucky was saying, every category has a different model. So Bloomberg for finance, they have law, the law model. So whatever skill set that you have, and Bobby Ray spoke about this, that they have AI that helps you discover the things that you're actually good with based on what your unique talents are. Whatever field that you're interested in going into based on the things that you're great at already, to have a successful career working from home so you can be present in your home as well as in business, that there is a category of AI for each category of life, and just deciding what it is that you're passionate about, that you don't mind staying up all night to do because you just love it, knowing that it's out there and not being intimidated by all of the information, because we know all of the information is not all great information, but being able to pick and choose and then reinforce that with research, right? You're learning these things and then covering yourself with research to confirm what you're learning is something good and on target with what you're hoping to do.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think the term I always use, a lot of veterans understand the term "with them." What's in it for me? So understand when it comes to these new technologies, don't be wowed by them to the point that you're not paying attention to what can it do for me, because that's what really matters to you. That's what really matters to your family. That's what really matters to your business. While it is a great deal of knowledge out there available, what is really important is knowledge transfer. So if it can take something very complex and distill it and simplify it in a way that, oh yeah, I know what that is. Now that adds value to it. But to run a string of numbers by me, and you can keep running them numbers by me. I worked in academia for a while. I taught for a while. And one of the things that I always prided myself on was the ability to ensure knowledge transfer. It does not matter how smart I was. It mattered what did the student gain from the experience. AI is the teacher. We are the student. We should have an expectation that we gain something of value from the experience. It's a partnership. Millions of dollars, a whole lot of knowledge, but it is still a partnership. What's in it for you? If you can't answer that question, then it's time to really open up your mind and to decide, what do I need? How can this help me?
Yeah. So, you guys are putting out some keywords here, and I want to add a few more keywords to that. So anybody who's thinking like, okay, Asif, describe AI, right? And Asif, describe AI on your personal way of describing, based on your whatever you do on a daily basis. So I want to start off with saying that if you have a domain expertise and you're intimidated by AI, please feel free to stick with your domain expertise and bring AI slowly into your domain expertise. Because one of the things that I see with fear level is that they're thinking like, I'm a domain expert. I've worked on this topic for decades now. What's going to happen because AI can do it? Asif feels the same way as you do. Because I'm a consultant. So guess what a consultant is in a ChatGPT world? Nothing. Because I can tell you one thing and ChatGPT will tell you 20 different things and break it down for you next 20 months and give you an ROI, financial justification, all the documents you need in order to do what it is that I will take probably a whole decades to do, right? So the ChatGPTs are super powerful. All domain expertise will be impacted by AI. But what you have to do is talk through yourself with saying, this is my domain expertise, and this is how I insert AI into my domain expertise, and this is how I reshape my domain expertise. So instead of saying like, hey, I'm going to lose whatever domain expertise I've built because AI is going to take over, of course AI is going to take over. But AI cannot do it without your domain expertise. And that is not me saying that. That is literally Sam Altman and all the celebrities that you hear about on TV all day long talking about AI. They will say this over and over. There's not a shortage of AI. There's a shortage of domain expert. Your subject matter expertise is far more valuable with AI than without it, right? So when people get hyped up about these information buckets that we are going through right now, because guess what? We're going to jump into a different bucket tomorrow. Sooner than later, we're going to jump into a different bucket. We used to freak out about these things, right? Let me put something in context for you. None of these stuff is any different than what we have previously dealt with, right? It's represented differently because there's a need for it. If you want to sell something, you don't want to call it that car, you want to call it this car, and this is the best car in the world, because the marketing terminologies really requires that they create a hype, and that hype creates an urgency, and urgency creates buyers, right? So let me give you some terminologies that I always use to, make people think through it differently, right? If you look at the whole internet, and I mean the whole internet, every single thing that you ever done in the internet is based on this thing called sorting, right? We won't talk about it, but that's literally what happens in the internet all the time. Information is sorted in a way that you can search on it. If you can search the sorted information, That's two pieces of information that's how the whole internet is based out of, right? It's a lot of sorted information that you can search through it. Because if you're searching through information and they're not sorted, you're going to have disaster. You're going to waste your time on the internet without ever getting anything done. So the sorted information on the internet, the whole globe of internet is based on sorted information. You sort it correctly, then you can search against that sorted information. And this is the traditional things that we've been doing for the last 50, 60 years. So when DARPA first created their internet from one room to another room, that was based on sending files to another room, okay? So over time, if you look at 60 years later, that's the same method that's still happening. It's just that it doesn't happen in a way that you have to say, like, send me that file, please. We don't say that. But that's literally what's happening is those files are transferring from one location to another. But they're sorted in a way that when you ask for it, you get it because you're searching for it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If you can search, it's because it's sorted. If you cannot search, that means there's nothing sorted. Sorted and search, right? But what happens after, which has been happening for the last 30, 40 years, is that this thing called graph. But the easiest way to understand that it's a context, right? If you can search, if you can search, that means you have to know why it is that you're searching. What's the context behind it? So if I'm looking for Masako, I cannot just yell out Masako's name and nobody responds. That's a waste of my search time. Because now I have to find the context of saying, if I have to reach for Masako, I have to graph it correctly so that way I can reach to Masako because she's the context on the content that I'm looking for. Okay? So if you look at it from search, search, and graph, AI is enhancing that graph capability beyond your imagination. Beyond your imagination means the world of searching and sorting is exponentially growing, and that graph is becoming that much more powerful. You need that. AI is not something fancy, or AI is not something that's happening to the neighborhoods. It's happening to everybody, and it's happening within your internet for decades now. The reason you can use Google and search through all the information that Google has is because of this thing called machine learning, which is AI, just AI 101. We don't call it machine learning, we call it AI. So all these things that are happening right under your TV monitor, or your Netflix, or your personal laptop, or IoT device that you call, I don't know, microwave or washer, dishwasher, whatever it is, it's happening. It's all there. The way it's moving so fast, the way we're able to search and sort through this information is what AI is enabling, because you're able to graph it. You're able to find the context very, very fast, right? If that is well understood, now I want you to get curious about AI. Because what I just did, describe AI to you without really losing your thought process into like, oh my God, all these things are happening. No. This is literally happening all in front of you at all times. Right? Even if you're not on the internet, inside of your laptop, you have this sort, search, and graph capabilities. You can explain that in 1,000 hours, or you can explain it in a few minutes, right? And if you think about AI for that purposes, now bring your domain expertise to that, right? So if you're able to say, what really makes me the specialist that's within my domain expertise that AI cannot even comprehend what it is that I do? Mm-hmm. What I can bring to my domain expertise, AI doesn't even know how to even search for that or find to way to context and graph that. I need to find the value as a human who's far more intelligent than AI is. What can I do, right? How it is that I need to bring my creativity out of my domain expertise and bring AI to help me with that, right? So I think that's kind of laying out the terminologies for everybody to kind of look at and say, yeah, you know what? I was fearful, but I'm getting curious now. Yeah. And that's, I think, is our goal, right? To get people to get more curious. Fear creates the distance. Curiosity brings you closer, right? So I guess at this point, what I would like to do is kind of go around the room and say, what questions or comments do you have that you hear? Because that's the kind of questions that I hear a lot. It's like, Asif, what happens to my job, right? And I try to give them this sort of like a open Pandora's box type of question, so that way they get more curious about it, right? They're going like, wait, Asif says sort, search, and graph. What was that, right? Like, oh, that's an algorithm. Wow. Okay, I didn't know that wasn't even an algorithm because Asif never mentioned there was an algorithm.
Yes, you're creating a safe space to be able to ask questions about, okay, what is it that I already know?
Yeah.
Because there's only one of me.
Yep.
There's only one of me. And if I could learn something, this information to enhance the skill set that I know, that I love, that people are going to invite me into the room for, then that changes the game, right?
Yeah.
Then we could eliminate that fear from what comes with this next step
Mhm.
to an excitement
Yeah.
to ask the next question. Okay, how can I enhance me? How can I duplicate me? That's the question. How can I duplicate me
Oh,
with
wow.
this new skill set?
That's amazing.
I think that it's important to remember. First off, all models are immature, right? So as much information as you got a really small toddler on your hands, right? Make sure you're careful how you phrase the question
Yeah.
because the answer you get might not be what you expect.
Yeah.
Um, Ultimately, a lot of AI is going to be ubiquitous. You won't even know that it's built into a lot of the things that you're doing. It's just assumed, right? It's just kind of there. I think the fact is, as long as there's been life, you have a choice. Either you let life happen to you or you go happen to it. So if you're in the career field and it seems as if AI is a threat, no, it's not a threat. It's a progression. So
Yes.
embrace the progression, master the skills needed to use that progression, and you get there, but while everybody else is still in shock. You get there first and say, this is what it looks like. Not only do you get to say what it looks like, when you're aggressive in embracing technologies and embracing the future, you get to help define what it looks like. People say things like, well, AI doesn't have ethics. Everything we create has what we put in it. So if we're unethical in how we act, yeah, that's what you get. But if you are an ethical person, if you are a kind person, the products that you create will service that community. So you want to see yourself in the future, embrace the new technologies, and just like everyone else has said in various ways, manifest yourself in the new space. So,
Yeah. No, you guys are making really good points in the fact that you really have to look at AI. And when I teach, I try to say, hey guys, look, find out what you're good at, find out what piques your curiosity, and use that. And the same thing goes with AI, except that whatever you do in life, you want to enhance, use AI as part of that. There's going to be small areas that you can use to improve. And just like you said, you don't know what you have, or you don't know how AI can help you uh, um, unless you just focus on what you're good at. And I'll give you an example. AI is a big term, and if you try to implement that anywhere in your organization, there's going to be people raising their hands. Hey, me first, me first. I got this great idea where we can use AI. We can use AI to figure out, you know, languages, or figure out, things that probably are far fetched. In some cases, you're only good as your data set. So try to crawl before you walk. Figure out. And I'll give you the example is this. I work in security some, and in security you have security tools. These security tools have always had a little bit of AI, just like we talked about. There's always been a little bit of AI in everything that we do, except now it's become more popular. But I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I used to work for an antivirus company, and the antivirus company, very easily to detect viruses. You have a sample virus, and you have a detection string, and so now the virus is detected with the detection string. Nothing fancy, but this is where we started to kind of to jump into AI. Is we found that in some cases the detection string was not perfect, and then the virus would get either not detected or get misdetected, or a false negative, and it would go through. Or you have something that's close enough to it, and you get a false positive where it could be legitimate code, and it would get detected. Long story short, you have these problems. And this is where we started to develop this algorithm that says, look, if it's shaped like a duck, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, got to be a duck. And so heuristically, we said, okay, if it's this, if it looks like this, we start to develop not so much a specific detection string, but we develop a way to be able to develop a pattern of analysis. And then later that started trending into IPSs and IDSs. Long story short, you have technologies that have always been there for years. How long have we had an IDS and IPS? For years, since the early 90s or late mid 90s. GPS, those are all technologies we learn and trust, but now they're on the forefront as AI. Long story short, as I look and I see different types of technologies now, everybody has AI that's improved now, and you have to map it out. There's technologies out there that are using large language models, or they've been trained to be able to help you in your quest to be able to use that security tool more. It gives you data more readily available. Natural language processing, where you just speak to it and say, "Hey, you know what? I want to make a grilled cheese sandwich. How do I make a grilled cheese sandwich?" And then if they start laying it out for you, according to us, we use Velveeta. We don't, but they'll lay it out for you how to make a grilled cheese sandwich. We got to be more specific on understanding what technologies we use. So some may use large language models at the same time, and then the new technologies that we have for antivirus like EDR, XDR, those technologies are all using heuristic-based models that have been around for years, decades. But now they're new. But again, those are all models. Those are different types of algorithms that have always been there. We just have to understand that they've been there. Now we have to focus in on the fact that we understand them better and how are they being optimized? How can we use them better in our jobs? It's not replacing us. In some cases, that it doesn't replace us. We just know that this technology is what it is now, an AI technology and algorithm. And so long-winded is just there's technologies that you're going to find out that have always been around in your area. Learn them better. Be ready for them. Be able to communicate that and say, you know what? Yes, we can set up this architecture, train the model according to our data vectors, and now we've improved what we know about our environments this much more using this technology, this AI, and it's always been there. And so, anyhow, I really believe that AI is not going to replace you; it's going to enhance you. You just have to be ready for it.
Yeah, augmentative intelligence rather than artificial intelligence, right? Augment the intelligence rather than to say we create an artificial version of it. Lucky and I, we've been talking about this for a very long time because, like I said, we are in the 65th episode of a podcast where we have guests come in and out of the discussion, and then we talk about, hey, what it is that you know, right? What it is that you know, say it the way you know it, right? And that's what we just did. We described it from our perspective because what Lucky just described is a bunch of algorithms, right? Mm-hmm. If you get a bunch of techies in a room, they will all disagree on what algorithm is. I can guarantee you that right now, because that sort, search, and graph is an algorithm. Lucky just described a bunch of algorithms to you, right? They're all algorithms, and algorithms could be as simple as flickering a light to on and off. And that's what I mean by people disagreeing. They're like, that's not an algorithm. No, that's literally and or light bulb. Yeah. That's algorithm, right? We have that. Now, how do we enhance that algorithm with other algorithms is your key to understanding what artificial intelligence is. Because what you're looking at is a bunch of algorithms sort of coming together, like collapsing two algorithms together, mixing it, fermenting it. I guess I can say, well, fermenting, like kimchi, you eat it. Mm-hmm. So you have to bring it together, but if it tastes bad, I guess it's not good. But if it tastes good, that means you keep eating it, right? Algorithm. So this algorithm, if you understand that, helps you to understand that fact is these algorithms, either you know it very well or somebody that you need knows it very well. Right. If they know it very well and you don't, they have advantage over this algorithm that you don't. Because how they have been created, if you don't have that knowledge or at least a say-so in it or a subject matter expertise to say, no, that algorithm should shift this way a little bit, because if it drifts this way, I'm going to have some problem and I don't want you to come and fix it because I want to be able to fix it myself.
Right.
You see where I'm going with this conversation here? If
Right.
you know what that means, you've been in the tech space or you've dealt with techies for a long time. Because techies will charge you $200-300 an hour to come in and fix a problem that they probably created themselves.
Oh yeah. 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 I
Okay,
mean,
this is the last time I
that's
tease the techies, but that's the problem. Funny, like
but
you
it
have
is true.
to say
It's true.
what you need to say and say it in a way that all algorithms, the algorithm that you're using, you're somewhat familiar with it and you're able to communicate about it.